When Power Drift released originally in the arcade, it would be a very popular racing game for Sega during the late 80s and early 90s, so it would be no surprise to see the game get ported to the likes of later consoles with the Sega Saturn. There was even a port added to the Dreamcast in 1998, but would be only released in Japan only. Very like a lot of games from the Sega Ages collection, they would take all of the core features and elements from the arcade classic to bring it to the home console. And like with many arcade ports of these games, the Sega Saturn was definitely the go-to place to play these type of games, pretty much to have a near perfect arcade conversion within your own home. It was the closest thing to be able to play the arcade from your living room in all respects. And your goal is to complete the various championships and modes that are on offer, and you have to win and come first in every race throughout the championship in order to achieve overall victory. But there are some differences with regards to the console versions. When we look at the arcade original, the Saturn wouldn't be as powerful, so therefore the frame rate would be slightly dropped, but there would be some additional elements with newer tracks and hidden tracks to unlock as you play, and you also have the ability to have use of other vehicles. Now this would only be once you've finished first in every race within each of the championship modes, where it would give you access to the Afterburner F14 Tomcat or even the original motorbike from Hang On that you can race as in the game modes themselves. So if you were good enough at the game and you were lucky enough to win each of the races, you can unlock all of these additional features along with some of the tracks. And very like the arcade original, there was some additions to the likes of the soundtracks. While were very good, there was some additional features that made it unique to the console in all fairness. But I will say that this game is tough. Now the first couple of races you can fairly get to grips with it quite quickly, but it doesn't be long before you're really tested and challenged, because no sooner have you hit like the third or fourth race in the championship, believe me, you will struggle with this game. While I never played the arcade original myself, I have played versions of it here on the Sega Saturn and even on the Dreamcast, and both were solid alternatives, to be fair. But yeah, very very difficult. But if you do like racing games, especially arcade or classic arcade racing games, this is definitely one to try out, especially if you're a fan of the likes of Outrun and even Hang On. This game is pretty much an evolution of that style, and the one thing Sega definitely got right during this generation was the arcade feel for each of its games, especially with racing games. There was nothing else like it at the time, and the Saturn would be the perfect platform to bring these games to the home market, and it did an excellent job in representing and carrying over the majority of features, making them playable, and even more so in many cases equally being as good as the arcade originals. It's a fun yet challenging experience, but it does have all of those interesting arcade features and elements that will be reflective of the original title, and especially for fans of this game, you will be right at home here. Great soundtrack, great visuals, fast and frantic gameplay. It is definitely one to try, and most certainly if you want a challenge, because you will get that here. And this is just but one of many games that were released under the Sega Ages platform, mainly in Japan, but would later see release on other systems, even with the likes of the PlayStation 2. There were so many interesting games and ports that were released under this collection that we do need to dive into further, which this next video will provide, so it might be worth checking out.